Good morning, Bitcoins. There's too much news. We're going live. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2014 at 9:11 a.m. in San Jose, California. Follow my nose. It always knows Mad Bitcoins. We'd like to start out today by thanking our Bitcoin donors. We'd like to thank our new donors. Hooray for Bitcoin! Every little bit helps. Special thanks to donors 0.01, 0.0087, 0.000 for what? Who could that be? That's me! How could I be there? How could I be there and here at the same time? How could this be happening? Some kind of strange time warp. There I am. But there I am again. We'd like to thank donors 0.0087, 0.0004255, 0.003, 0.00666, 0.0029697, 0.00100.256, and 0.3782. Yowza, yowza. Donate to MadBitcoins by using the QR code on your screen or by subscribing at patreon.com/MadBitcoins. I'm honored by your support. Here are today's MadBits. Bitcoin prices have been up and down and up, and that's just this morning. When I woke up, the Bitcoin price was around $590. It rose to around $595, then fell back into the 591s, popping up and down, and now slumping a little to $587 at a last. Litecoin is around $7.36 a coin. Our top story today has disappeared. It's not here anymore. Let's open a new window to our top story. Top story today, Silk Road investigation. In a pre-trial motion filed late Friday, Ulbricht's lawyers have requested that the feds dismiss all charges because the FBI violated Ross's Fourth Amendment rights when they failed to obtain a search warrant before searching his servers, as well as using general warrants that allowed a wholesale dump of his private data, rather than searching for a specific item. I think they're probably technically correct, but this still sounds like a long shot. Over 550 flyers distributed at the Cheshire Fair. Free Keene had a booth at the Cheshire Fair, complete with a skyhook Bitcoin vending machine. I like that idea. Let's call it a Bitcoin vending machine. Because that's what it is, right? You just use it for vending. And then you can sell candy and stuff for a quarter. A quarter in Bitcoin. And gave out more than 500 flyers. Great job, Free Keene. This is just the kind of activism that Bitcoin needs. Too bad they said that they live in the woods and that most people don't have internet. Huh? And they still spread the word about Bitcoin. So if you have internet where you live and you don't live in the woods, you should really spread the word. Are fees killing the Bitcoin debit card dream? Sure, probably. And who cares? When Bitcoin is ready, Neo, you won't have to sell any of your Bitcoins. Bit of a bait and switch here with Bitcoin debit cards, as both Zappo and ANX have announced pretty standard-looking fee schedules for their Bitcoin cards. Nothing revolutionary here. So what's the point? Why does Bitcoin need to interface with a legacy system? Let them take Bitcoin directly. And now, the story you've all been waiting for, even though it's a day old. Dogecoin to merge mine with Litecoin. That's right, the day has come. Much news, Shibes, much news. Charlie Lee of Litecoin has stepped in to save Doge from destruction. Dogecoin was built to die quickly, says Doge Tipbot developer. The only way to save it from certain death, i.e. a 51% attack, was to merge mine with Litecoin. All your altcoins belong to Litecoin. Charlie Lee has the ring. Twitter writes, Mirax writes, MadBitcoins. This is a good opportunity to contrast the Doge Litecoin solution with the feathercoin Neoscript solution. I agree. Dogecoin and feathercoin are similar coins. Both have a strong community and an emphasis on tipping and goodwill and charity acts. But Dogecoin has decided to merge mine with Litecoin, essentially becoming a part of Litecoin's failure or success. Feathercoin, on the other hand, has decided to change algorithms, getting rid of the old script algorithm and adapting this neo-script algorithm. Feathercoin had it in their charter originally that they would change and shift with the times. Good job, Feather. Bad job, Doge. Tough to say. Litecoin is very strong. Partnering with Litecoin may give Doge what Doge needs to survive. And isn't that what it's all about? You got to breathe air on the moon, right? PayPal hosts packed Introduction to Bitcoin event. In Silicon Valley, a place that reminds me of Silicon Valley, the HBO show, PayPal had an introduction to Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Henry Ford was speaking at a horse and buggy convention. Scott Robinson from the Plug and Play Tech Center gave what sounds like a rousing speech about the power of Bitcoin, that it sounds like somebody from PayPal should have filmed and, put on the internet and maybe link to this article. Great job, Scott. Thanks for being a guest on this show. Very cool. Housekeeping. World Crypto Network Book Club. We're reading Snow Crash this week, and we're meeting up Wednesday around 7 p.m. on the West Coast. Get your e-reader buttons clicking and read the second 100 pages of Snow Crash, or 40% on your Kindles by Wednesday, and get ready to participate in the discussion. What will happen to YT and Hero next? Find out at the World Crypto Network Book Club. And on Thursday, at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 o'clock in the East, World Crypto Network Town Hall meeting with plans to discuss the formalization of the way that the World Crypto Network is run, the Decentralize the World campaign, show ideas and formats, and additionally, the website and forum ideas. Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. in the East or wherever you are. We'll be communicating via Google Hangout. We'll also have a Skype line open. We'll try to do some kind of Skype group chat if that's necessary. We'll have phone lines. We'll have the question and answer. So you can just type in if you have ideas. And we'll be talking about it right here on the Reddit. So World Crypto Network Reddit. That's where the book club's going on. That's where the town hall meeting's going on. That's where the World Crypto Network is going on. And now, even more important than the book club. Well, what could be more important than the book club? I mean, let's get serious. Bitcoin security update. Coinbase Vault has arrived, and while it's not perfect, it's a start. Your Vault Bitcoins will now be locked for at least 48 hours and tied to at least 2 different email accounts. Hackers got to collect them all, and stored offline under a large cat. What I would like to see, let's just go all out. Why not photo-verified Google Hangout or Skype video calling with a safe word and a second safe word that I could give if I was kidnapped or under duress? And of course, if you advertise this feature, it wouldn't work, much like a placebo. Of course, I'd like to see more time locking, like the ability to lock them down for 6 months or a year and just not have to worry about them, although I guess the hacker could just mark it on his calendar and steal them then. So it's really hard to be safe, but the Coinbase Vault is a good start, and I just wish they'd made it sooner. And I hope that people will vault their Bitcoins, paper wallet their Bitcoins, offline paper wallet, safely secure. And if you can't do that, check out the Trezor Wallet. The Trezor Wallet is now available at buytrezor.com. Paper wallets too hard to print, paper wallet too hard to order, still have Bitcoins on an exchange, still pretending that Coinbase is not an exchange even though people have been ripped off from there directly and no place is truly safe. Get a Trezor Wallet. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm pretty broke, so I'm hoping for a discount. But if you're Bitcoin rich, and even if you have more than a few, you better try it. Trezor today. Trezor allows you to keep your Bitcoin keys offline and sign transactions without exposing your keys to a potentially infected computer. It could be the ultimate safe way to store your Bitcoins. I can't wait to get my hands on one. Only $119 right now at Buy Trezor. That's Trezor. I know this sounds like an ad. But if you do buy them and they have a comment form, maybe tell them MadBitcoins sent you. They'll think it was like an ad. But anyway, it sounds really cool, the Trezor Wallet. And check out the merged mining, very hot issue. Maybe you want to talk about it on the World Crypto Network Reddit. Until then, I think we're about out of time. Doesn't seem like we have any questions or guests. I had hoped for a guest, but time is what it is. So until next time. This has been Mad Bitcoins. Mad Bitcoins? Mad Bitcoins. And now we should put up the donation link, because that's what people do at the end of their videos. They say, what do they say? Subscribe to me, follow me on Twitter, and donate, because I'm a carbon copy of every other YouTube video. But that's okay, because that's all going to change. People are going to start saying, change tip me in the comments. That's going to be a whole new thing. And they're going to be, what? Change tip? And then people who watch at the end, who stay for the credits, there's always bonus content, because we've got Phaneep.com, Phaneep.com, the royal photoshopper of Mad Bitcoins. And to my surprise, and without me knowing, he's made a whole bunch of new really cool photoshops. So let's talk about them. Regulation comes one way or another. Ben Losky, Satoshi Nakamoto. Coded for the screen and directed by Joel and Ethan Coyne. True Git. A brilliant parody of the True Grit Coen Brothers movie. Pretty much the greatest living directors, the Coen Brothers, and writers. Great Photoshop, excellent work, Phaneep. 20th Century Fox presents The Day the Blockchain Stood Still. Kind of slurred that one. The Day the Blockchain. Classic movie, Gort the Robot. Ethereum, The Future is Scripted. From the director of Blade Owner, at meetups near you. Very interesting. Wonder if Matt Damon is representing Vitalik. And Bitcoin Time, featuring Mad Bitcoins, a video game. Mad Bitcoins. Look at that. Fighting little buildings, little Capitol buildings, little fedora hats. The Road Warrior with Mad Bitcoins. Classic Photoshop. Check out the Doge. You Doge people gotta love that. Doge. Saving Private Ryan's Key. This is a classic with Max Kaiser, Andreas Antonopoulos, Mad Bitcoins, and Roger Ver. Very cool. And you could see this as a film. People would like that. Laws. We're gonna need a bigger community. This is classic. You gotta wonder if Losky's seen this yet. You know, he follows me on Twitter now. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna keep the question and answers open here while we stall. And Mad Bitcoins, Beyond Thunder Doge, the image that probably brought many of you here from Follow the Coin. What's going on Twitter? People are retweeting that I'm going live, and I am live. And people are making noises about being live. But let's go back to the donation link. Let's just go back to madbitcoins.com. You gotta love it. Madbitcoins.com. Did you know Mad Bitcoins is featured on the Zero Block app? Oh look, it's me talking about myself in the past. This is the best part of the show for me, because that's amazing. But you can check us out at zeroblock.com. We show up on the links. We show up on the app. It's very cool. Wow, the new Zero Block's gotten a lot better. Has a big chart. Reminds me of BTER, that thing that they bought. Very cool. So we're still hanging out. We were going to see what your tweets were, but your tweets were not direct questions, and you don't have any other questions. Drew has a question about bit license, but he doesn't ask it directly. I don't think bit licenses are very good, but I do like this green line. My eye's always drawn to that part. Let's see if we can spread this out. See, go right up here. Let's see. We used to play music, but you definitely can't play music on YouTube anymore. Hanging around, downtown by myself and I had too much caffeine and I was thinking about myself and there she was. We are still live on Mad Bitcoins. we are joined by Chris Ellis. Chris Ellis from the Feathercoin project, perhaps here to talk about Dogecoin, merged mining, and Feathercoin's new algorithm, NeoScript. And just in general, it's Mr. Chris Ellis from the World Crypto Network.
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing good.
I wasn't really prepared for this. You're like, come on the show. I'm like, okay, all right, I will.
Neither are the people at home. The people who stayed are the people who watch credits. These are the people who are like, I wonder if there's going to be something in the credits. Maybe if I, like, they're not asking questions, they're not commenting on Twitter, but they're out there seeing if there's more show, because they're like, oh, he did the news, but, you know, there's more show that they want. And what they want is they want to talk about Decentralize the World and the World Crypto Network town hall meeting. Here's the Reddit right here.
I'm all up for that. That's what I've been spending most of the day thinking about doing. And this Thursday at 3 p.m. PST, I think that's 6 p.m. EST, that's the East Coast, and 11 p.m. UK time, we will be doing our first ever town hall meeting on the World Crypto Network. It will be 10 of us live on a YouTube hangout, just like we ordinarily do, except it will be way more interactive with people at home. You'll be able to tell us what you want, where you want us to take this network, because I noticed that a lot of people had been following us and coming back watching the shows again and again. We get the same people coming in the Q&A. We tend to be quite a good self-select group of people, I think, that are, you know, have a similar outlook on the world and geopolitics. And so I wanted to see if I could get everyone's buy-in to kind of do this election thing where we kind of pseudo-randomly select somebody to look after some centralized funds, or central-ish, and then they could like pay for the website, you know, keep the social media thing up and running. But then also allow audience members to become, I want to really blur the line between customers and employees. Like, really, I want it to make it so that anyone can work for the World Crypto Network. And then it's just a case of, you know, agreeing on like how we select people. And what kind of...
You mentioned that because my most recent memory of that is reading Snow Crash. And in Snow Crash, they have these large 3-ring binders at all of the franchises, and no one makes a decision without looking at the 3-ring binder. So I think you would be looking for a more what's it called? Holacracy? Holocratic? Yeah. Are we going to call it holocratic system or something? Yeah. Holocratic? Okay, holocratic, something like that. But that holacracy idea where everyone is a leader and everyone can fix the system. Like, if we were all on a submarine and we saw a leak, we would be like, that leak needs to be fixed because we are all on a submarine. And that's what the world is like. It's a very big submarine that we're in complete denial over the fact that we're interconnected. We're interconnected on our, like, we need food, we need energy, we're interconnected on the air, the water, all these different things interconnect us, but we're, you know, denying that. But we all live on a yellow submarine, of course. That's what
yellow submarine.
Yes.
Hey, it's Nick.
We're joined by Nick. Nick is also in the World Crypto Network Book Club. He's probably busy reading Snow Crash today, but this show is just going to...
I am.
So how's it going, Nick? What do you think about the World Crypto Network and the Decentralize the World project and the meeting we're having on?
I think it's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually talking with someone who's down in South America and hoping maybe we can get them some copies of the blockchain in Argentina.
Now, everyone needs to imagine and have kind of a thought experiment. If you were in a developing nation or a nation that has decent internet and you didn't have access to the blockchain, so you couldn't send Bitcoin around to your friends, basically you have a double Bitcoin evangelist type entrepreneur problem where you want to send Bitcoin to your friends, so you need to get them to install a wallet app. That's difficult. You have to explain Bitcoin to them. Then you have to host a local copy of the blockchain because otherwise your friends' transactions are going to be too slow. Is that what we're saying the problem is?
And well, it's not just that. It's also the idea that, you know, Bitcoin's biggest risk comes from inside of itself, and it particularly comes from places like the Bitcoin Foundation that want to pretend, I think, so far from what I've seen, they want to pretend like they own this joint. And I was particularly upset by the recent changes to the website where their #1 feature is that they fund 3 of the Bitcoin core developers, and then just below that are how you can sign up for $1,000 a year on the silver plan. And that makes me think that what they're really selling is influence. What they're trying to persuade you to buy is, yeah, it's a seat at the table around this club, and don't worry, we've got the developers. But then the other day when I tried to look for Gavin Andreessen's Bitcoin donation address, it took me about half an hour to find the damn thing. I mean, I was looking everywhere. I was typing all these different search terms into DuckDuckGo. I was pulling my hair out. So I went on our Bitcoin on Reddit, and I said, guys, where's Gavin Andreessen, the chief scientist of Bitcoin's own Bitcoin address, so that I can actually send him some Bitcoins? And someone eventually came along, as Reddit does, and says, oh, he actually takes tips for commits. Tip for commit is an app that they use on GitHub, so that every time you commit some code to a project, developers can tip you. It's a bit like change tip. And I was like, that's interesting. So I went in and I looked at that, and I did eventually nail down his address. But I asked him, he did, to his credit, come onto the subreddit, and he did have, you know, a few words, and he just said, look, I'm not as rich as some of the people have been saying in the comments. And it just seems to me that they haven't even explored alternative methods of compensation for the developers. I think they've just assumed that people don't pay for value voluntarily, that you necessarily need to strategize a business and try to, you know, set up pain points, discover pain points in the economy, and then try to deliver value. But as far as I can tell, I don't see the Bitcoin Foundation really doing anything. So so I deviated slightly from your question, but deliberately just to see if I could lay out the territory. The problem is that if the blockchain, we've only got 7,000 nodes active on the Bitcoin network at the moment, maybe 8,000. That's not very many copies of the blockchain. You need more than that. Because if someone tries to take over the network, or if something goes wrong, you want as many copies around the world. Most of them at the moment are owned by blockchain.info and BitPay, who have to have nodes on the network so that they can preempt any double spends, or if they detect any double spending, they can thwart it straight away. So I think it's much healthier if more people in diverse regions of the world, not just Western countries, but also places in the world that are only just coming online, that are getting like 56k modem equivalent download speeds, because we can front load them, give it to them on a memory stick, and then it only takes them a few hours a day to update it.
Okay, so let's go with simple numbers. If we got it up to 10,000 copies of the blockchain, and if the World Crypto Network could make 3,000 copies of the blockchain, that would be much better, right? A third better. So let's start with, like, that's our goal. That's what we're going to set. Like, I don't know how hard that is. It sounds like I'm going to have to do videos demonstrating how to download the blockchain via torrent. Which is that? What are your thoughts?
No. You don't have to download it via torrent. You unless you mean for our members that are taking part. I mean, probably.
Yeah, is it easier to download it by torrent, put it in your directory, or to use that app with a little bar? Because, like, I want to say right now, app developers, the little bar on the Bitcoin app's not big enough. It doesn't tell me any information. If it's going to take 3 days to download the blockchain, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not. It's the right? Bitcoin Qt client is Bitcoin Q, however you want to pronounce it. It's a reference client. It's not supposed to be fully featured and user friendly. It's supposed to be there.
Make it better.
It's supposed to be there to help other developers making third-party apps understand best practices for how to implement the core protocol, not necessarily the GUI and and all of that. That's up to people like Hive and Multibit to make more user-friendly versions. So I don't begrudge them, because they do have a lot to do as it is, as an open source development community. So I don't begrudge them too much. No, I think the best way to do.
Let's save a lot of time. Do those apps work together? Maybe in the future, all of these Bitcoin apps could use a shared version of the blockchain, like operating system wide, and the operating system could update it. Like, let's think about that, guys. Let's try to save some time with all these revisions. Shared version of the blockchain.
But yeah, what I was going to suggest we do is we put out our own version of the blockchain, because I've been trying to think of, like, what is the raison d'etre of World Crypto Network. And the problem with a lot of these broadcasting populations is they're rather like music companies. They're there to extract value away from the talent that actually produces the work. So when we're thinking about how we want World Crypto Network to function, we should do so in a very kind of conscious and enlightened way. We should be looking to respond and react to what has come before us and ask ourselves the questions like, what is the point in these brands anyway? What do these things do? And maybe we should start with the needs of the individual. I think a lot of people like us who don't have celebrity status, we had jobs maybe, you know, where we were getting more paid better than we are now, and we're finding those jobs being automated away. I think what we need is to leverage one another's reputations. We want to be able to commit some of our time into a pool where the net effect is everyone benefits. But the problem with working for a company is you are at the mercy of other people's judgments. A lot of people don't feel like they can commit to an organization because they're worried that someone else might make a terrible decision and then all their time has been wasted. That's why so many people ask for money as, you know, wage labor. What I'm experimenting with, and the reason I'm doing this is because I think as a group of individuals, it's almost like we've got nothing to lose. We're going to have to do something. We've got to turn our lives into vocations somehow. Is sort of set up almost a sort of social experiment. Can we do this activism that we've been really good at in the past? We have raised money for other projects. We've been pretty good at it. I think we tend to come across as, you know, pretty authentic. You know, we're genuine. We're real people. We don't have any kind of ulterior motives, right? I think what we can do is we can say, I wonder if you give people the opportunity and you make it as easy as possible, if people will pay for things voluntarily, once you help them to actually not be like this divisive corporate structure where you've got this corporate personhood that sees people outside of its borders as either non-customers or customers. You're either paying us or you're not paying us. And then to get inside of that company, you've got to go through all kinds of arbitrary selection processes that really don't make any sense. They're not very good at actually selecting the best people for the job. You see all these really active, enthusiastic users out there that are falling over themselves to be advocates and supporters. I mean, Evernote has their, you know, ambassador title that you get on the Evernote forum, right? And they pioneered that earlier. Zappo has done a similar thing. They are basically, those companies are exploiting those customers. They should be actually embracing those customers and bringing them in as employees or pseudo employees, right? If you produce some value for this network as a whole, you should be rewarded for that. So you know, we've talked about it before. Every individual is responsible for their own Bitcoin address and for raising their own donations. But I think what we can do as the World Crypto Network is kind of become a hub or a curation point where we can actually select a lot of the, you know, the people on the channel, and maybe have like a World Crypto Network live on our website where, you know, you're literally getting this 24-hour news feed of this curated content. So it's not just like, you know, whatever sells. It's whatever I think has been selected by the audience, and that's what we'll have to discuss on Thursday. I don't want to preempt it too much.
We had started discussing it in the comment section. Theo and I were going back and forth, and basically it's mainly a scheduling problem of getting at least one qualified host, which is a complicated term, per hour, and then being able to either hand off by like closing the Hangout, opening a new Hangout, or to hand off the same Hangout, which could prevent technical problems. It's very long Hangouts, things like that. But there's a couple ways to go there, just to try to string it together and to go time zone to time zone with this idea, and just having basic Bitcoin discussion for normal people, issues that they want, questions and answers, a place to go, and just, you know, running it, trying to accumulate more people that could be co-hosts, that could be guests, and then of course to get more hosts. So.
Yeah, but there you go. You see, you're highlighting one of the key value points of the World Crypto Network. That's exactly the value that we can provide. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do what a lot of these other Bitcoin publications are doing, where they're just trying to jump on a bandwagon. They're just trying to pump out the same old content. I think what we've done very well, almost by accident, is we've kind of really owned the live space, right? We really do Hangouts very well. And you've got to think about what is the work that you can do that nobody else wants to do. There's no point in everyone crowding around the same old link bait on Twitter and just tweeting out the same old crap. It's just another version of the same old story, except this time it's from the point of view of VeryCoin, or this time it's from the point of view of someone else who's, again, got something to sell. I really found it quite refreshing going from Feathercoin to World Crypto Network, because at last it was like, oh wow, okay, this isn't something I've got to sell to people. This isn't, not that it ever was at Feathercoin, but there was always that question that would come up in a conversation as like, why are you telling me this? Then it was like I started to do these more. My attention naturally started to divert around GOX time. And we did that live hangout, and all of a sudden I thought, wow, this is valuable. We're actually giving people live, up-to-date, you know, real news directly from the IRC channels or directly from the subreddit. And it's not, you know, we're attributing, we're calling people, we're actually saying that I heard this from this person, which then enfranchises individuals that are just regular, like citizen journalists that are just on Reddit and just reporting from where things are. We've got to understand that the news doesn't come from the news broadcasters, it comes from the people. Your audience is already on the front line. They're right there. And it's just, I don't understand this you know, the word media is just plural for medium. It's just the person that is between, and your job should be to reduce that friction as much as possible. So yeah, I want to come up with a really cool way for a sort of self-selecting process that we can come up with that allows for people to join and leave the network at will fairly fluidly.
And there's just been so many different coins, and they all seem to be pump and dumps. And all the new altcoins, everyone becomes a fan of their own altcoin, and they just want to talk about it. And I don't think anyone's really buying for that anymore. I mean, you can work on your own projects, like work on your new things, but I don't know if there's really excitement there for altcoins anymore. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even matter if it usually wasn't even the founders that were doing the pump and dump. That was the irony. It was, you know, often these founders were actually pretty straight up people. You know, everyone at Feathercoin is a decent person. They really believed, or I really believed that, you know, yeah, we can do this, and maybe they still can. But the thing is that someone else will use it instead, right? So then it will just be BTCE, and then they'll just buy up all the Feathercoins, and then they'll start playing both sides of the book and releasing false press statements saying they're going to ditch it, but then they don't ditch it, and then the price goes up 10 times, and it's like, and as Nick pointed out, and I hadn't even realized this when he told me, these are basically just money laundering. Like for the exchanges, this is just the perfect way to create air-gapped security for your finances, because if you're going from one blockchain to the other and you control the database like BTCE, you bet your dollar there, you know, purging that database at intervals. Have you noticed recently you can't use any of the old Bitcoin or Litecoin addresses anymore? They've told you to switch your addresses. They're purging that database because they know they've got root level access to it, so they're probably switching all their dirty drug money in and out of those different altcoins, probably making money at the same time, right? So this is even better than setting up a gambling shop on the high street.
You had no idea, like Feathercoin was much more than you'd ever thought. Like,
well, no, I mean, it still can, and actually my hope is, the reason I've diverted my attention, it wasn't a conscious decision, it just happened gradually, was that I think Feathercoin can still make, and I think a lot of them can, but I think the problem is that Bitcoin came under threat when GOX started, and then it came under sustained threat from different vectors, particularly with the New York hearings, and of course I was on that video with you and Andreas that time, and I think what I realized was, actually, if Bitcoin fails, all of these coins fail. Right? If Feathercoin fails, the only people that cares are the Feathercoin team, which is tiny compared to the world. And I realized that if I didn't jump in and use some of what I'd realized, I didn't even know I was any good at it, but the, you know, the communications and stuff that I'm supposed to be good at, apparently, if I could use that and channel that towards helping Bitcoin, then the net effect, well, not only would it benefit Bitcoin, it would also benefit Feathercoin as well. So no, my hope still is, in the long run, that projects like Feathercoin, particularly ones like that are more local focused, you'll still have, you know, people coming out with their own currencies, but it'll be interesting to see once people with reputations, people like celebrities, start coming out with their own coins. That'll be interesting to see how people respond to that.
And with a lot of the altcoins, it's not just you're competing against Bitcoin, you're also competing against the dollar and all the other country-backed currencies. I mean, we really have to remember it's feathercoin versus the dollar versus the pound versus all these other
Yeah, but you know what, and this is what I kept saying at Feathercoin as well, is you've got to just not be tethered to one currency. So people have got to get used to comparing Feathercoins for bread and comparing Feathercoins to milk and comparing it to food and fuel and, you know, all the clothing and all the other things. Like one person said to us that they would accept Feathercoin as payment when you could buy socks with it. And so we went down the market, we bought some socks and put them on the Feathercoin market, you know, straight away. But you've got to do it systematically. I mean, you've got to be able to, you know, money is like the distance between your decisions. It's that gap between each purchasing decision you make. And some people put that gapped money into housing because they think that's going to go up in value. Some people put it into BMWs, particularly if you're in Argentina, because you know, your own currency goes down, so you just buy lots of luxury cars, hoping that they'll go up in value. And people put their money everywhere, but really it's just this very transient thing.
And a lot of people might have put their money into Dogecoin. Dogecoin announced yesterday that they are going to merge mine with Litecoin. This is why we're here, gentlemen.
I think that's great.
Doge and Lite together, Nick?
I think it's fantastic because they're already fighting for the same hardware. Like, you know, these are competing coins. They can only have so much computation power mining their very same hash algorithm, right? So why not work together a little bit and benefit both?
If you were a Dogecoin miner, it's not a big stretch to become a Litecoin miner today. Like, there's not a big difference, really, right?
Yeah, it's the same hardware. You're running the same hardware mining one or the other. Dogecoin was basically a copy-paste of a couple other script coins, I think, right? Wasn't it like a copy-paste of Feathercoin or something like that, Chris?
I think it was a copy of Lucky Coin, because it had a lucky reward feature where the block reward was random, but you know how random, when it gets down to computer science, nothing's really random. It's very difficult to be really random. And I think somebody figured it out, and they were mining only when the block reward was going to be huge, and they had to fix that Lucky Coin thing. There's a lot of strange fixes with Doge. The inflation bug, where it was going to have yearly inflation and never-ending currency. I don't know if that's still on the table now that it's part of Litecoin. Have to read more. But what I was interested about this article is people said Dogecoin was built to die quickly. Chris, what do you think about that? Have you ever heard anyone? That was the Dogecoin tip bot creator who said that none of us expected it to grow into the absurd entity it is today. With that said, there's absolutely an easy way to save the coin from certain death, 51% attack, and that's the new term they're using for merge mining. The Dogecoiners have become kind of a...
Yeah, I'm slightly skeptical. You'll have to send me the article. I won't say anything about it until I've read it in full. I'm just going through a few blog posts here, but yeah, to do with the coin dying quickly, the benefit that Bitcoin had is that nobody knew Bitcoin existed. So its security came via obfuscation. Nobody knew it was there, so none of the attack vectors were known, and so it was relatively safe. And if you look through the Nakamoto Institute website, you'll see that Satoshi on a couple of occasions actually resists marketing efforts from other more zealous members of the forum and says, no, perhaps we shouldn't go to WikiLeaks and perhaps we shouldn't promote this at the Occupy camps, because you know what, this network is very small, it's very fragile. The disadvantage that a lot of these coins have now, of course, is that these attack vectors are known. And so they can come in for 51% attacks, and there are a lot of big players out there. The asymmetry is increased, in other words. There's more of a difference between the big and the small. And this is one of the threats with merge mining. None of the merge mine coins so far have succeeded, in particular Namecoin so far. So it awaits to be seen. I'll have a look at exactly how it's been set up. I'm also looking at a post by Charlie Lee on his own website today that's entitled Rumors About Charlie Lee. So I was going to go read this, see if that had anything to do with what's been going on with the merge mining.
Well, I can tell you that MadBitcoins reported this morning that Charlie Lee has the ring. That's right. He has the ring of power, and it's possible that all of the altcoins created with script are going to be called back to Charlie Lee.
What does that mean?
You got to read more Lord of the Rings.
All right.
But Chris, I mean, we could say that merge mining saved Namecoin as well, right? Because that was pretty much a dying project. There was not going to be any hash power hashing that network uh, if it didn't merge mine.
Yeah, but also remember that the mining is a powerful pricing signal because it proves that you're independent and that you can attract the mining and you can attract the people that, have that very scarce hash rate. They could be mining anything right now. The fact that they choose to mine yours is a powerful signal. So when you merge, it can also be a sign of weakness. It also limits you in that you can only use the algorithm that the coin you're merge mining with. It has to be implemented at the level of the pool. It's not baked into the code itself. So it's up to the pool operators where they do it. And I'm not a particularly big fan of the phenomena of the pool in the first place. I actually think pools are going to be rather temporary, actually, in this larger story. So I see it as very short-termist. I see it gets you over a medium-term hump, particularly as when Charlie Lee proposed this originally, he was facing a lot of popularity from the Dogecoin as a threat, and Litecoin was starting to look irrelevant as all these new coins were coming out. Litecoin was just looking like, well, what's the point anymore, Particularly as these other coins had much better marketing. They had way better, logos and branding and all the rest of it. So they were getting the mind share, and that was what it was all about. It was about getting the mind share of the people. So I don't think so. Feathercoin, we decided to go in a very different direction from the very beginning. We did say that we were planning on changing the hashing algorithm at intervals so that there was no safe place for miners, so that you could never get cozy, so that you wouldn't even bother writing an ASIC, right? Because if you thought there was a chance that the algo was going to change in 12, 18 months or whatever, you wouldn't even bother trying. And also because remember that a lot of people, one of the principal reasons why coins like Feathercoin started up was because a lot of people bought GPUs and they didn't get their ROI with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had that sudden rush up in ASICs. That's what provided the impetus up to 260 originally back in November 2012. God, time is so distorted these days. So yeah, November 2012, we had that little peak up, do you remember? Mm-hmm. And then it just kept going up all the way up until March, and then you had Cyprus, and then the Cyprus thing was just like a catalyst as well. And so I think what happened was a lot of GPU miners were just left in the lurch, and they had all these all these graphics cards, and then along comes Feathercoin, and then others start to come through as they see the marketing efforts that we were doing, and they started copying that and started using the word community a lot in all of their literature. And that's right. It was so that people. But I think that it's a good thing to keep the mining and commodity-based hardware. I don't see the point in creating these very expensive paperweights in the terms of ASICs. The algorithm gets more difficult exponentially for a reason. It's there to counteract the human industrial need. As the chap James we had on Chris Before Coffee last week was saying, the need for constant growth isn't a core human need, it's actually an industrial need. It's a product of industrialization. It doesn't come from the individual necessarily. The individual may have, desires to be powerful, but they have desire to just grow and grow and grow for no good reason whatsoever.
But you have problems with the commodity hardware too, because those are monopolized industries. Like there's very few people participating in producing x86 chips. And x86 chips are going to be mining probably the majority of the new hash algorithms that are even trying to, stick it to GPUs.
They do initially, but then the difficulty goes up pretty quickly. So there is a threat of botnets, for example, particularly with
for me, it's not just botnets, it's just who produces it. Like, do you trust Intel to produce your hashing chips? Do you trust Intel to secure your network? If you do, then cool, that's no problem. But if you have issues with Intel and you're not 100% sure if Intel is the company you want to trust to secure your network, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And the harder you make that for people to produce chips for, the more they're pigeonholed into, only buying from one producer. So I don't know. That's one of the big things I worry about with some of those other algorithms.
It's legitimate fear, but how is that not the case with Bitcoin already with the ASICs?
Because there's like 20 companies making ASICs. So I can mine on Intel chips, I can mine on AMD chips, I can mine on NVIDIA chips, I can mine on ASIC miner chips, I can mine on KNC miner chips, I can mine on Bitmain chips, I can mine on, you get what I'm saying? There's more choice for me to secure the network with. I have more options. It's easier for me to get into this because maybe I don't want to run a whole computer. Maybe I don't even like computers, but I like using Bitcoin. You know what I mean? You could have a standalone miner and a cell phone.
Yeah.
Standalone, and you root into it.
I'm certainly optimistic that we might see some more free, open source ASIC manufacturers. That's kind of what I'm hoping will happen with the Bitcoin network. Certainly, that you will get more ASIC open source projects.
And for the coin thing, I agree. Like especially coins that are designed to have a competing nature to Bitcoin, absolutely need their own network. But for Namecoin, I kind of see it as okay because is Namecoin even trying to compete with Bitcoin, or was it supposed to just be like? No, it wasn't, right?
It's complementary.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it depends on like your coin, what you're trying to do. You're right. It could be bad for Dogecoin to merge mine with Litecoin because they're losing their, network advantage or potential network advantage. But at the same time, it's probably good for their community as a whole. Maybe that'll, strengthen the script mining community or something. We'll see a bigger divergence between the SHA Bitcoin supporters and the script coins or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, and after Dogecoin, we just saw such an incredible increase in altcoins in general. Why shouldn't all the script altcoins merge mine with Litecoin? I don't see why not.
It just takes away the differentiation. I mean, unless they're just going to admit that they didn't really have any ambitions in the first place, then why bother with all the coins at all?
Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like a lot of these are just shit coins. That's why we call them that. They're just shit coins. They're there. Somebody shit them out, and they're there trying to make a little bit of money. And eventually, they're all going to disappear, and we're either going to have coins that serve a purpose, or no coin at all.
What will we have? So, anything else you guys would like to talk about in today's news? Anything going on? Did you catch the show?
I didn't actually. But yeah, Nick and I over the last few days we've been playing around with proof of existence and cryptograffiti.info as well. I haven't got any screen shares ready, but yeah, I've been playing around with Git repositories and stamping SHA-1 hashes of my work as I prepare to write scripts and things into the Bitcoin blockchain, so that I can prove that work existed at that time. It's not the core work, it's the hash of the work. So I'm not revealing what I've been doing, but since I've been preparing shows and I've been writing, blog posts and things, I've been doing it in Git in Markdown. I got a private repository on Git because I don't want everyone seeing all my scrappy notes. But then I've been periodically, creating a commit on GitHub and then stamping those SHA-1s using cryptograffiti.info, and that allows you to, I think it's about 15 cents if you don't donate to them. If you do donate to them, I think it's like 68 cents per SHA-1 hash you want to put in there, and obviously it costs more the more you write. And yeah, so I'm liking it. I wouldn't probably want to do it. I wouldn't want to see everyone doing this on the Bitcoin network because I think eventually it would jam up the network. But this goes back to what we were just talking about, where maybe one of the incentives creating a new coin is that you end up being a distributed data store. There was a coin called Datacoin. Whatever happened to Datacoin?
Maybe that's what Dogecoin will become, right? It'll become the data store. I wonder how many full nodes of Dogecoin there are.
No,
actually.
I just looked. Bitcoin nodes is below 7,500 now. It was up to 8,000, or just shy of 8,000 a couple weeks ago.
Let's see. I think we can recap the news if you guys like. Bitcoin price at 586 at last. That's down a little bit from when I saw it last.
That's 590.
Yeah, let's see. What else? The main story today is that the Fed's Silk Road investigation broke privacy laws, the defendant tells court. Ross Ulbricht's lawyers say that basically they didn't get a search warrant to search his servers, and because they didn't, all of their investigation should be thrown out. What do you guys think about that?
I hope that's what happens. I hope they get their wish. I hope they get their case thrown up. I'd
It's
like to see Ross walk free.
it's nicely written. It's a good idea. Technically, they might be right, but I just don't see it as something that the government's going to be willing to do.
Yeah, I think as much as I'd like it to be true, when I read the article, I was just like, yeah, this is kind of clutching at straws because I think what the argument will be in the end is that, well, if the evidence still proves that he did it, then it doesn't matter how they ended up getting it. And of course, that sets a very dangerous precedent for everybody else.
Yeah, that's not what our system says, so they'll have to find a way around that. They can't
Oh,
make that.
of
So.
course they'll find a way around it. They'll just look the other way. This one time. It'll only happen this one time, we promise.
Well, no, I know they could smell it. They were outside the servers and they could smell the servers, and then they had the right to break it. That's good enough.
Well, what is it? There were some comments I was reading on this that people are thinking that they might claim like state secrets and shit because they might have used exploits in Tor or other things like that they don't want other people to know they have.
Yeah,
That's most likely because the whole story about him being sloppy in the beginning, that seems way too hard for them to get. Like it'd be nice if we could pretend that was just it. This guy was sloppy, but no. It seems a lot more like they cracked him in the middle, then they went back and found that stuff and used that as the public story. It seems very cover story-ish. So let's go on to the second story today. Free Keen distributes 550 flyers at the Cheshire Fair. Free Keen had a Bitcoin vending machine. That's what we're calling the Skyhook ATMs now, Bitcoin vending machines. And they distributed flyers, and they almost ran out. They said they have a bit of a problem in New Hampshire because they're up in the woods and no one has internet there. So I took this as a big sign for everyone who has internet where they live. You're already a step ahead on convincing people on Bitcoin. Like you're already in the door because they can't tell you we have no internet. So plus plus. What do you guys think? 550 flyers, good work. They had a booth and everything. Bitcoin vending machine. Looked like Josie Wales was running around there. Chris, your pal. So cool stuff.
That's awesome. That's handing out a lot of pamphlets, I wonder what the turnover rate for were like people who weren't into Bitcoin that went and downloaded a wallet or something like that onto their phone or computer. That's interesting. I pass out the Bitcoin Bigfoot pamphlets. I have a whole friggin' stack of them, and every time I do my laundry, I leave 5 or 10 down in the laundry room. Sometimes I think they get thrown away, but other times I see the pile slowly go down.
Nice. Well, I think another good idea would be to sell candy at your booth, but only for Bitcoin. So the people have to buy $1 in Bitcoin, then send you $0.25 in Bitcoin for the candy. And just as a way of learning this and starting to work with the system and to get their wallets, and maybe they might even have to come back later if the transactions are too slow, but even then, just this idea that you can spend Bitcoin is a neat thing to play with. So more like a demonstration. Interactive. Let's see, moving on to issue 3. Oh, we had these Zappo debit cards, which said they were going to be fee-free, but turned out to be packed with fees. The same thing for the ANX debit card. So apparently if you're going to use the debit network, you're going to charge debit-like fees. So Bitcoin is not going to fit into the old legacy currency solution. Bitcoin is going to need to be accepted directly through BitPay or through Coinbase or just through a Bitcoin wallet. Merchants are not going to be able to have these debit cards. It's pretty much what the article says. I'm in agreement. Then we talked about...
Did you see this post here on Reddit? Was Circle and Zappo account insurance does not cover all your lost Bitcoin. Someone dug through the small print. I mean, how about that, right? One person digs through the small print, no one else does, and then he posts it up on Reddit so that everyone can see.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, of course, we should all be reading the small print, but let's face it. And I love one of these. Oh, where's it gone? It was the top comment when I looked at it earlier, but yeah, here we go. He says, let's see. Number 1, give your Bitcoins to a third party with no control over private keys. Number 2, you have to follow their AML KYC policies, throwing away your privacy. Number 3, they reserve the right to suspend any account for whatever reason. Number 4, they charge you 0.12% to store Bitcoins in an insured vault, but only for the first $100. And then number 5, yeah, they will only reimburse you $100 at most. And then number 6, they provide you a debit card with more service fees than a bank. I mean, just brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, like a boss. I mean, you couldn't have fucked that up more. It's the same thing, Chris.
We see this everywhere right now, right? We keep seeing people try to apply old models and old thinking to something new. And we're just going to run the gambit until they're all out of ideas, until all of their ideas that don't work are used up, they'll finally come up with a new idea. And then maybe we'll see these guys produce some cool shit. But until then, I think we're going to see more and more of this.
Their whole attitude is wrong. Their whole attitude, it's not just that they don't get it, it's they don't want to get it. They're stuck into an old way of thinking where they've got to put themselves between the needs of other people in order to earn a living. Their whole raison d'etre, their whole reason for being is to get in people's way. That's why they exist, and it's their only means of survival.
It's the only thing they know. That's what they've been doing for the last couple decades, you know, building these new, like, PayPals, basically. They want PayPal running on Bitcoin. It's brilliant.
They're just parasites. But in a way, they're worse than PayPal, because PayPal came at a time where that was optimal. That was the optimal strategy, and it worked back then. But to come along now and just try to be, you know, just trying to be the dictator by playing by the dictator's rules 10 years ago that just makes you an arsehole, right? That actually makes me think, all right, so you're a parasite with a marketing budget. Well done. You whitewashed that pretty well. But then, of course, what we're seeing, and did you see the article in CoinDesk as well? I can pull that one up. I mean, CoinDesk are now so, you know, are being made to look so irrelevant by Reddit that now they have to report from Reddit. But not the way we do, like where we feature the person that made a really intelligent comment and read their name out and, like, you know, read out their full comment with attribution. Oh, no, no, no. They'll just tweet out saying Reddit's going wild over this thing. And then they won't link back to it. They won't, you know, no citations, no credit. It's just they're being made to look irrelevant because these new social networks with these upvoting systems and these interesting reputation algorithms are winning. The truth is surfacing, and that's what people tend to do all day now. People just tend to watch the bloody news all day. And then they talk about it, and are you hungry for facts was one of the things I saw come from Russia Today in their marketing spiel. Are you hungry for facts? Yeah, I'm hungry for facts. I'm not working. I'm not.
And you watch television? You're hungry for facts, and you watch entertainment television? Like, yeah. I mean, you gotta know, if it's coming from the box, it's entertainment. Like, it's fun.
Boom! Always.
Facts. You want? I mean, if you want to watch facts, they do have facts on the sports network. Quite frankly, when someone's batting average is 362, it is the truth. And well, no, I'm sorry, but like really, the facts are there. PayPal hosts packed introduction to Bitcoin event. Apparently, PayPal has taken an interest in Bitcoin, and they called this really cool guy from the San Jose Tech Center who hung out at Silicon Valley Tech Center. It's in Sunnyvale. But yeah, he came in, made a speech, talked about Bitcoin. It sounds like a lot of the people there, even though they work for PayPal, that they had Bitcoins, that they'd heard of it, and they had them, and they'd sent them. And yeah, man. What about that? PayPal. I hear that Henry Ford was going to speak at the Buggy and Carriage Convention. He's talking about horsepower. No comment on PayPal.
Well, no. Before I talk about that, let's just look at this for a second, right? So here we have yet more product placement from CoinDesk, a so-called journalistic organization. Circle one praise from Bitcoin's Reddit community this week for a savvy customer service response. Apparently, this passes for fucking news. And of course, all the time, the best place to go on the CoinDesk website is straight down to the comments, where someone just says it like it is. One customer gets a $50 refund, and you write about it. Like, seriously, what happened to journalism? This guy is absolutely nailing it. It's just perfect. And they don't cite the user. They don't do any proper journalism. It's just like, look at what this company, I don't know who's sponsoring who. I've been told by some reliable sources that they're not taking money for articles on CoinDesk, so I'm not making any of those kind of accusations. But it does just strike me as very weird how somehow this passes for news. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, why not just go to Reddit directly? What?
In all fairness, Chris, they read tweets on fucking local news now. They read tweets.
Yeah.
They will put the tweet across the screen, and then somebody will read it to you because clearly you're too stupid to read it off the TV yourself.
Hang on. So hang on a minute. So obviously we do this, but what we do, it's about curation. If you're trying to thread a narrative and you're trying to tell a story, I think what's important is that you are responsible and you don't just deliberately try to skew it in a particular favor, that you are upfront with your intentions. And what you say is, like, you say, look, here, what I want to do with this channel is I want to give people a full range. I want to say, look, truth probably lies at the edges. It doesn't lie in all that kind of murky averageness where, you know, particularly with the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, that try so hard to be balanced and unbiased that they end up prefacing every single damn thing they say with more balance. So every time they make a comment in favor of one side or the other, they then have to make immediately afterwards another comment. And then what happens is you end up with weaker arguments having 50% of the airtime. Right, which doesn't make any sense, right? So then they end up like overdoing it. And I think what we've got to do is we've got to give people the full gamut. We've got to say, look, we're getting ideas coming at these different extremes, these different views, and give people a palette so they can then go away and educate themselves. And that means giving citations, doing what I do on Chris Before Coffee, where I actually leave a link, you know, an orgy of links like below the actual video with time signatures so that you can go into the video. If you disagree with what I say, please do, you know, tell me about it. And then don't assume like the conversation's finished just because the show stopped. Like we had some people come at us after the Bitcoin group, and as you said, rightly, Tom, this is a, you know, talking about Israel and Palestine is a third rail. And we did choose to go there, and we got people coming back at us. And you know what? I'll have them on the show on Wednesday, and they can talk about it there, and I can go through. I said, look, you know, I'm trying to learn about this complex foreign conflict. I only know as much as anyone else in terms of what I hear on the news. So you know, and then I went away and I said, well, educate me about it. Don't just give me your opinion. Don't just give me your side, but educate me about it and give me the full range and tell me where I can learn more.
And it is possible now. You can read the articles. You can click through. You don't have to just listen to what the talking head person says. Like, always link to the articles. And you're right, Chris. I found more of the truth here in the comments. Someone lays it out plainly. The problem is a person doesn't need PayPal to use Bitcoin. So that's why PayPal and Bitcoin are always going to be enemies, even if PayPal joins in and becomes a Bitcoin wallet. And this comment is from Eduardo Tenorio. So and it says he's replying to Elvis Costello. So
well, remember that PayPal owns CoinDesk. Remember that there is a financial tie there. So they've got a reason to be positive about PayPal, and they've also got a reason not to say anything too negative on CoinDesk about PayPal. But the issue is that PayPal would want to think that they're like AOL. That a lot of people, the reason AOL keeps going is because no one cancels their subscription. And so they're able to just limp along for a long time because no one changes. And yet the world is changed. Nature is changed. Change is normal. Change is very healthy. And if your business model relies on the stupidity of others and people not learning enough, that is a pretty damning indictment of mankind, of the human species. Because what it means is these people aren't moving on. These people aren't learning. The only possible good thing I could see about PayPal is if they operated some kind of multi-sig like greenaddress.it, I think it is at .it, where you've got one part of the signature and they've got the other part. And actually that would be very useful, because then if you were burgled or if someone robbed you, you wouldn't have lost your coins, because of course it would be on the PayPal server and it needs 2 keys to sign it. And I can see it being useful for things like recurring payments, for example. If you had like subscriptions and stuff, you could just load a Bitcoin on there. I could still see them having value, but not the way they think, and probably not with the fees that they need to keep their business going.
And a lot of those features Coinbase already has. So again, PayPal should probably buy Coinbase. We're going to see some very large mergers and acquisitions in the Bitcoin space coming up here. People are going to start buying other companies, buying them for the brains, as Google and Facebook have started doing, and it's going to start happening to Bitcoin for the brains. What do you guys think?
Let's see if they can get them, right? Because, I mean, aren't a bunch of these guys moving over to Switzerland?
Well, we're running out of countries in the world that won't rat you out to the US, aren't we?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks Switzerland. I guess they're back in the Swiss
Yeah,
idea.
but it's not. I mean, we used to have private banking in Switzerland, but you don't anymore.
That's why all the cryptographers are moving there, so they can bring it back.
But you don't. Like, to all intents and purposes, if someone's got a big enough gun, they're going to find you. I mean, they're going to get you. There's nowhere to hide anymore. I mean, look at what happened with MH70. Flight MH70, I think people looked at that and went, wow, there are places on the Earth you can disappear. We didn't even know that you could anymore. I mean, it was so surprising to us that something that big with that many tracking devices on it could actually vanish from human perception, because we were starting to think that it was impossible to hide anywhere anymore.
Yeah, if that's what happened. And
There's a big world out there.
It would have to be a very big gun. So we've got a few other stories. We went over the town hall meeting and the World Crypto Network. We of course wanted to mention the book club is going to be Wednesday. So book club Wednesday, meeting Thursday. World Crypto Network. And the Coinbase came out with a vault today. I want to see what you guys think about this. I think it's a step in the right direction, but we're not all the way there yet. What it does is it has a time delay withdrawal, so your Bitcoins are locked for 48 hours. So if your email had been taken over, you'd have 48 hours to get the email if the person doesn't delete it and block you from seeing it and you're taking over email. It has multiple approvers, which really only means 2 email accounts. So if your email and your friend's email were both taken over, or your email and your backup email, which you access from your same infected computer, basically, if your computer is insecure, the ground that you're standing on is always unstable. You're always going down. So it doesn't matter so far which one of these security methods you use. If your computer is insecure and has been owned, then it's over. And then these Bitcoins are going to be stored in offline storage, which is, I think, where Coinbase keeps most of their Bitcoin. I'd hope is in the offline storage, except for the ones that are moving around. But this is a little more secure. What do you guys think of Coinbase Vault?
Well, they probably had to do it because of all the thefts. I mean, we've reported on a few of them, right? They were probably coming under pressure. I'm sorry, but private keys are not designed to touch networked connected devices. The only way I'm going now is Bitcoin Armory. I'm not paid to say that, but it's an open source piece of software that I don't think they're making any profit anyway. But yeah, I started playing around with it, and now I'm going to have a separate laptop that does not have internet connectivity that stores my private keys. And in fact, there's now a new app that somebody's put up on GitHub, again open source, that communicates your private keys with sound waves. And that's genius, because not just the keys, but also the transaction signatures. So you can process the transaction in Armory offline. It will produce a public signature saying you can broadcast it, and then you just play it over the sound, and then you just use the microphone on your other computer, and it will just enter the transaction in. That's public data, right? Because your private key just signs the transaction. It doesn't ever need. That's the whole beauty of asymmetric cryptography. It's the whole beauty of public-private key pairs, is that the private keys don't need to touch a network device. They can sign a transaction in air-gapped environment, and then you can publish that publicly available information to the network.
And isn't that how the Trezor Bitcoin wallet works? Because we announced today the Trezor is for sale. We're not paid for saying this, but we do hope to get a discounted or a demo version so we can try it out and show you how it works. And it sounds very cool. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that. That's great. That's a great step in the right direction. I don't know how that would come under the new USB hacks, but let's see. As you know, in theory, that should be great for people, especially using multi-bit.
I think they'd probably have to take over the Trezor to USB hack it. So you'd have to have a specific injection to get into there, because I think the Trezor keeps your keys safe. Like you're saying, it signs them offline. You push in some buttons on the little screen, and the computer, I guess like you're saying, it makes the transactions and it sends them later, like, you know, packets like email or whatever, like, you know, it does your email offline, then packages them all up and then sends them off. So your keys never touch the network. Your keys stay on the Trezor device. So this sounds very cool. And again, if you have lots of Bitcoins and you're storing them on Coinbase, if you have lots of Bitcoins, you're storing them on BTCE or Cryptsy or, you know, somewhere that's insecure, somewhere Bitstamp, somewhere that's an exchange. You need to store them somewhere safe, like a Trezor, like a paper wallet, like printed with a Piper wallet printer, or try out this Bitcoin Armory and get a whole separate laptop, like Chris is saying, or get some paper wallets. Like if you really want to store your money long term, where no one's going to take it, you're going to have to take these steps.
And someone needs to do the same thing for PGP, or maybe what you need is a device, maybe a biometric offline device that does all your signing for you. So I've got a Keybase account. I was kindly given an invite by Paige, who appears on the World Crypto Network as well. And this is just reinvented PGP. I now send a lot of my emails with PGP for no reason. I mean, I'm only arranging to meet up for a drink or something. But I don't know. I just like the idea that the NSA can't see all my plans and they can't see what I'm going to be doing. I don't know what it is. But I love this. They've really made key signing an absolute pleasure on this website. And so I get to publish my PGP key, and I can authenticate my GitHub and my Reddit and my website, and you know that this Bitcoin address must be mine because we can like meet offline and I can sign something right there. So it would be really good if your Trezor device could also sign your emails as well, because another problem that people have with PGP is they keep their private keys on their desktop or on their laptop. And then that's got a persistent network connection. And if you get a Trojan or something like that with a keylogger, that's it. That person can now masquerade as you.
Very cool. Keybase.io. Looks like you can sign up for an invitation. Very cool.
Yeah, Keybase seems cool. It's a little bit more in depth than like One.io, it seems, which is another one of those identity.
Yeah, but these guys give you a little.
Yeah.
Give you like a command line. It's really cool, and so you can actually do it from the terminal, which if you're into that thing, it's great. If not, it's got a nice GUI as well.
But Keybase seems pretty cool. I'd like to get an invite to that sometime.
Yeah. And,
I'll sign up at keybase.io. And I think we're about out of stories. Anything else you guys would like to mention that's going on right now? I guess we check in on the Bitcoin price. It's down a little still at 586.31. Anything to mention, Chris?
Well, the reason why the price is doing what it is that there's no big news coming out, and a lot of it's just trundling along. I still think that people are bullish long term. I still think people are dreaming of the day that it gets to 10,000 or whatever it is. But the problem is that there's a lot of people, I think, at the moment, and probably myself included, who overinvested, who are now finding it difficult to, meet every day's kind of needs. And I think a lot of us are running on vapor in the Bitcoin community. It's what I'm hearing anecdotally. So maybe if you're watching this, you can get in touch with us. Let us know in the comments below how you're sort of finding it, because I don't know how much longer these Bitcoiners are going to. I overhear people saying things like, I'm not selling my Bitcoins, to pay that bill or, to pay the rent. I refuse to sell my Bitcoins, because we are pricing them. I think a lot of people are pricing them around $3,000. What do you guys think?
I've heard that number, and everyone in San Francisco was ready to buy at 560. They were like, wow, 565, this is going to be the lowest it's going to be. There's a lot of that talk going on. I thought we were going up today because we had a nice run on Friday. We had the usual selling during the week volume on Saturday and Sunday. And I thought today we'd just go back to good news, nothing going wrong, let's buy some Bitcoin. But we've been back in the 580s. So.
I think that there just isn't as many people adopting Bitcoin right now in terms of like just regular users. Like we keep hearing new merchants and stuff, but how many of those merchants are getting new people to adopt Bitcoin versus just taking Bitcoin from the people who already had it? And if you look at like Google searches and everything, they have really, really, really fallen off since the last $1,000 point. They have really fallen off. I probably would price my Bitcoins at around $800 or $900 right now. I wouldn't go as high as like $3,000. I might part with one at around $800 or $900 right now. I don't really need the money out of Bitcoin, so
I can agree. I've looked at my stats since the 1200 run, and they do seem to go up and down for views. I mean, I still have a nice growth pattern. Like it's still everyone's being supportive and everything, but no, it's been down. I think people liked it when it was up, 3 times this, when it was up crazy. But we don't know what's going to happen if it's going to go back up there.
I think volatility is good for user adoption, and I think it's bad for merchant adoption.
Maybe we need Oprah to take Bitcoins and to give them out to our audience. You get a Bitcoin. You get a Bitcoin. Everybody gets a Bitcoin.
I think, like I say, it needs to be people, not like Oprah. It needs to be people like Jenna Marbles or independently, famously people is self-made, who rely, because Oprah doesn't need the money. I mean, she'll get you the media attention in the short.
That's why I said a Bitcoin. She can afford that. She can just, you get a Bitcoin.
So it's, what you're doing is you're saying the problem with PR is that if it's too flashy and if it's too hot, it'll fizzle out and then you'll get a massive slump. And the reason why the price drops so much is because it's allowed to go up so quickly in the first place. So I think what you're going to do is you've got to get this out to celebrities on YouTube who have orders of magnitude, millions of followers, who suddenly realize, like, do they even know ChangeTip exists? I don't think they do. But if a few of us start going out and genuinely, sincerely tipping people like Philip DeFranco with ChangeTip on YouTube, he might turn around and go, actually, you know what? This advertising model stinks anyway. I get loads of drop-offs. I get loads of people complaining at me. I don't want to be responsible for someone else's product if it ends up being crap and I had it on my show. So actually, if these people are just willing to tip me, even if it's like 1,000 satoshis, but this guy's got like 10 million views, even if only, like, eventually once it becomes more mainstream, even if only 25% of those give 1,000 satoshis each, that's still netting him hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? So I think that's the kind of calculation I think people like Philip DeFranco will do when they look at how easy it is to start taking this.
Trying to change tip Jenna Marbles right now. I'm not sure if I wrote the message correctly. What do you guys think?
Oh, you know what I hate about ChangeTip is I stress out over the keywords.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be stupid.
I
message that doesn't work, and I don't want to send her a tip that doesn't work, right? I want to send a good tip.
But they tell you if it doesn't go through.
Yeah, but they don't tell you right away.
What kind of keywords? Like, what are you looking at?
Well, I'm gonna put
I started making my own.
Do you mean like a taco or things like that?
Yeah, like those keywords are weird that they've got.
Well, they take a lot of. They have a lot. You can use bits. You can use mbits. You can use millibits.
I just hope there's $1 in my account.
You can use dollars.
If I send,
let's do some product placement for ChangeTip. They don't pay us, so it's perfectly ethical. But so I'll be critical and I'll be complimentary. They don't really.
$1 in my account. There we go.
They don't really tell you, like, all the different abbreviations for the bits. I mean, not that I haven't seen those, Nick. Where are they?
For bits.
I don't see where you can use the keyword bits in here on the page which lists the tip amounts.
That is like 20 pages though, just so you know, and they're not in alphabetical order.
Oh right. So where are the other pages?
You scroll down, you'll see go to the next.
1 to 80 of 80. That's it, right. And then where's the next page?
There should be another page.
No, there's no other page. So, okay, so maybe there isn't. I just don't know. But look at all of these things. So the other day I was like trying to tip someone on Reddit, and I was like, oh, these don't really match. Like, and I don't really want to have to say like 2 coffees for that amount. And then I was too nervous to create a new one in case it didn't work. So I went off and gave someone else a tip with a new one just to see if it would work. And then I created a new one and started doing it. But a lot of these,
I think the image is going to make our ratings go up.
I think it definitely will. But I tell you another problem. If ChangeTip are listening, by the way, I love the service and I keep using it. But you know what I'm like. I like to have a go now and again. It feels inappropriate. It feels inappropriate, and it's not ChangeTip's fault, because giving money is kind of frowned upon a lot, I think. And like sometimes we sort of look at it and go, "What, you gave me some money?" Like that doesn't feel very personal. That's why I think they've gone so heavy on the burritos and the coffees. But then we all kind of know it's not really a coffee, you know. I've got to go get a reimbursement. You're going to reimburse me for the coffee, you know. It just kind of feels a bit.
If you can stack up 4 or 5 burritos, you can have some pretty good money. Like, it's pretty.
Yeah. What I think ChangeTip could evolve into is Jenna Marbles actually, like, them doing a deal with her local burrito place or whatever, and them actually literally ordering her a burrito. That would be kind of cool. If they could do a deal with some businesses where you can actually buy things for people.
Yeah, but then we're just gonna fill her house with burritos. That's not.
Yeah, well, let's fill up Jenna Marble's house with burritos. Let that can be our next campaign. But fuck, getting memory sticks into Ghana with like open source software and WiMAX antennas. Let's get burritos into Jenna Marble's place.
See, we've already
We've already sold out. We already sold out.
we're 100% on this Jenna Marbles thing.
Get a bunch of burritos.
What is this?
I'm still trying to tip Jenna Marbles on multiple platforms.
Oh, he's going for the multi-pronged attack.
Oh yeah.
And imagine if she watched this and then she was like,
I'll link it to her so she can watch it live. Like.
Yeah, because she hasn't got anything better to do at that time.
Totally not. There it is. Boom. Okay, so we should be hearing from her people soon.
People. But that's what I mean, though. She's not like that. She's totally real. And a lot of those YouTubers are, because they don't have the hubris.
It sounds like I have $1 in my account, too. I think this tip is going to work. $1's a good amount. Yeah, look at that. That's good that I had $1 in my account, huh? That's a close one. Check it out. Jenna Marbles to collect your change tip from MadBitcoins worth 1.696 millibitcoins. 696. $1. Follow this link, changetip.com. That's right. All you have to do, Jenna, if you're watching now, which of course I sent you the link about a minute ago. So I figured you're at home on your laptop and you figure, oh yeah, YouTube link, I'm clicking that. Boom.
No. First of all,
for you, Jenna, from your huge fan, Mr. Chris Ellis, who thinks you look smashing in your football uniform, which you would call soccer.
I would call that soccer. I don't know why they're wearing all the Kevlar in the armory.
Soccer.
It's supposed to be a non-contact sport.
It's non-contact sport. You're not going to need armor for soccer, Jenna. No one's going to knock you down from your shoulders. But next time you'll be prepared for soccer, because we've sent you $1 in Bitcoin. The first of many, no doubt. Because the way Bitcoin works is it's internet money. It sends around like email. And people made a thing where you can send it through YouTube comments or through Twitters or through anything else, Google Plus or maybe even Reddit, right? And changetip.com. And I'm sure ChangeTip, you can process all of Jenna's fans, and there's going to be a lot of them going to changetip.com to learn about this new tipping system where they can tip Jenna Marbles directly. I've got responses.
I mean, first of all, she gets millions of comments, most of which say follow me back, things like that. But like she's not gonna be checking her Twitter stream, dude.
Not right now.
I doubt it. I mean, she must have some kind of filter system set up. How does she read all those?
Let's see.
No clue. But I've tried to give quite a few people money through ChangeTip on like Twitter and whatnot, and it always just makes its way back to me. I'm like, I've gone up as $10. I've had people turn down $10
because they don't have to think about it.
That's another great feature of ChangeTip, that if you tip someone and they don't accept it, it comes back to you. So you can tip it again. That money's not wasted. I know there's some fears with Bitcoin and other tip systems. So good job, ChangeTip. Still waiting to hear back from Miss Marbles.
So we've had a comment in the questions. Should we read it out? That the Ethereum Genesis sale
yeah, I was going to do that. You can do that.
Reward starts dropping. I won't say when. Don't say when, because we don't want to you say you shouldn't fall for this trick. This is a trick. It's a mind game coming up, and it's called the fear of missing out. And this trick is one of the oldest in the book, and big companies play it with their customers all the time, which is if you don't buy this now, you might not get another chance. And it's designed to trigger many kind of very primal desires in us as like a tribal animal originally, that you may never get this chance again, and you should not fall for it.
It reminds me of those radio commercials you hear. It's like, we only have 100 of these. The first 100 callers will get it. And then, like the next day you hear the same commercial on the radio, and you're like, well, you had no callers in the last day? That's pretty amazing.
I can say that they're up to around 7 million $500,000 on the Ethereum sale. So, big money for their crew. Yes, anything else going on in Bitcoin?
How does that compare to what some other efforts have raised from like VCs? Like, how much has, let's say, Circle raised? They've raised more than $7 million, haven't they?
I seem to recall Circle and Zappo having large, like 20 million type runs of VC money. But again, Ethereum is raising this without a bank, without Wall Street. They're probably not paying any fees. They're actually raising Bitcoin. I'm sure we all remember the MadeSafe problem. MadeSafe raised Mastercoin and Bitcoin, and then they found out that Mastercoin were not worth as much as they were during the sale. And so they lost about half of their money. But MadeSafe was around a similar valuation, around $7 million. And now Ethereum's around 7. But remember, MadeSafe dropped to about 3.5. So. But it is happening.
I was just trying to see. I think Circle raised 9 million. Just coming through. Yeah, the biggest Bitcoin investment so far. Circle raises 9 million in Forbes, and that was at the end of October last year. So yeah, this would make them. They're now pretty much going to take over Circle. I would have thought at 7. They're already at 7 million, right?
Yeah, and then Zappo raised 20 million.
Oh wow. Okay then, that was.
Here's the Zappo announcement, and that was what we were just talking about with these debit cards. And it seems like they're going to take that 20 million and put it into a debit card fee system. So it's a very similar product to what we already have.
Most of this money goes on the marketing, and a lot of people don't realize that what these companies are fueled by. When you're spending money on these products, you're paying to be sold to. You're paying for the posters to go up. You're paying for the photography. You're paying for the art directors. You're paying for all the makeup crew. All of that comes from you, the consumer. You're paying so that you can be told what to buy.
I wouldn't have it any other way, Chris, because I'm an idiot. And I will never be able to figure things out on my own. Ever.
Back up your Bitcoins. You can do it.
It's about attachment, and it's about getting people on the crack lollies and getting them addicted to things, and then they can't not want that anymore. You can't just go, actually, you know what, I'm not going to want that anymore. I'm going to decide to want something else. We're never where we want to be in life. We always want to be somewhere else, and so we decide on a future, and then we'll just distort the past until it matches that future. And it's like, I have to get here because this history says it's right. But you already decided where you wanted to go, and then you got attached to it.
So we do have a question from the audience. We have a question from Drew, and what Drew says is, what's the deal with the bit licenses? And I think Drew has a personal question. He sells T-shirts in Bitcoin, and he's curious about what should he do? Should he stop selling T-shirts to New York State? Is that what we're looking at?
Well, you should do that anyway to force people to leave New York State. That would be kind of cool, because to be honest, I've had enough of those.
It's a free state project in reverse. You just want everyone out of New York. Zero population. All out of NY. All out of NY.
We could put some barbed wire fences around it, and we could.
That's square, so it's going to cost the taxpayers more money.
Oh yeah, of course.
I see where you're going.
I support boycotting New York. I think that's a great thing. We should boycott all New York businesses that deal with Bitcoin, and we should just look the other way. Sorry, customers in New York. You guys are allowing this crazy Super Nintendo Losky to run rampant and take over the show there. We can't deal with you because you have this crazy terrorist, making up crazy things.
And the Statue of Liberty isn't even that great anyway. It's a lot smaller than in the pictures.
So small.
It's a lot smaller than you're used to seeing it in the films.
It's like at least half of it is the podium it stands on.
Right.
It's French too, and made of copper.
Yeah.
Copper, cheap.
Yeah. It looks better in Planet of the Apes, to be honest.
Or the Doctor Who. There was a good Doctor Who episode.
Or in Ghostbusters.
Try the pyramids. The pyramids are much better.
That's Ghostbusters 2.
You're right, it is Ghostbusters 2, but whatever.
Yes, you're gonna owe me a quarter in Bitcoin. We're charging people now. But
You may come as a quarter jar for making mistakes.
Especially movie trivia errors. That's what we specialize in. But yeah, I won't be able to donate to the Colbert Report anymore. I'm gonna have to donate all my Bitcoins to Jenna Marbles, and then maybe
So
if I
this is going to be like a
leftover-
concerted. This is like a concerted campaign now.
If
It's
I
like
have
a
leftover Bitcoins, I'll donate them to MadBitcoins. But I'm gonna donate at least 10 cents of that to Jenna Marbles. Put the 90 cents to MadBitcoins. But
She should
wow.
get Kirby. You should donate to Kermie as well. Kermie's got one of her dogs has got a Twitter account.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure he's got a social media manager running it as well. I'm pretty sure he's got.
How do you spell this dog's name that has a Twitter account?
Kermit, like Kermit.
My cats.
She doesn't
they have
people,
1,500 followers on
What?
Instagram.
Let's see.
1,500 people.
Kermit has a Tumblr.
He's got a Twitter as well.
Kermit the dog on Twitter. Oh, and it has a Facebook as well. You know, you can use things on Facebook. Oh wow, the Tumblr is really where it's at, though. Boy, here we go. I want you guys to experience what I just clicked on. Are you smiling? You're hugging me. Are you smiling? Are you hammered, bro? Ladies, please. You hammered, bro? That's funny. So yeah,
There he is.
he's chilling so hard. Chicken crumbs. Yeah. That's a cool dog.
He is funny.
He likes digging through the trash. He's a wormy, majestic silver unicorn. You gonna finish that?
I used to think that the internet was made for porn, but now I'm starting to think it was made for animals, like cats and dogs.
Kermit also has his own Facebook page. Kermit Moray, Jenna Marbles' dog. Very cool. Look at that. Do I see more posts? So yeah, you can donate to Kermit the dog if you want to, I guess, with change tip on Twitter.
Yeah, you can help feed them.
Yeah.
And for balance, we
Canada
should
dog
say,
food. I wonder if
and-
that's
and for-
on there.
for balance, we should say you can also tip people with Twitter tip bot. What was it? The tipper bot? What's it called? Tipper bot.
Change tip.
No. Let's not be too biased because they're not paying us.
There's another tip
Twitter
bot?
tip bot. I forget the name of the Doge.
Tippercoin. Tippercoin.com.
Tippercoin.
Oh, I had thought a bunch of those other ones had closed up shop.
They have.
Yeah, they have because it takes a lot of maintenance to run those things.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Tippercoin. They're cool. Tippercoin. Oh look, their website's a little outdated though. It says you can have a Bitcoin on them. That's a good deal.
Wow.
Wow.
That is generous.
And I mean, this is a little generic.
What a guy,
You're gonna tip
what a
a whole
guy.
Bitcoin like, at recipient, you sir are incredible. Have one Bitcoin on.
I mean, he must be incredible for one Bitcoin.
That is kind. So
I mean, that is one generous guy right there.
feel free if you want to.
At sender, whoever this at sender is, I'm following him now.
Yeah, dude. Sender, recipient. These people are giving out. They're rolling. So,
Recipient dude must be great.
recipient, man, you are great. I don't know your name. Like, I don't know what you really do. I'm not going to describe it with adjectives, but here's a big ooh. So it's much like that guy with the sign, you know, and he got $24,000 on ESPN because he was a Bitcoin. So, Jenna Marbles, you need to get your own QR code. Then we could just hold it up here, and people could be like, what? You could donate directly to, you know, not Jenna Marbles yet, but if she had her own QR code right here, you put up pictures of the dog, boom, action. See? Dog. I'm sure that Philippe is like photoshopping away Jenna Marbles' dog right now.
Dude, we need to get Philippe and sorry, I forget his name. Chin, what's his name? Chin. We need to get those guys to do like some PSDs of Jenna Marbles, Kermie and Marbles.
Somewhere I had a bunch of Philippe web pages, but I can't find it.
That'd be really cool. And we should make a list of other YouTubers as well, not just Jenna. We should like have like a concerted push.
Philip DeFranco's a good get. He'd be really
Philip
good.
DeFranco's brilliant.
Every day.
Nixie Pixel, we featured her before, but we can do it again.
Well, she just got that big bump from her
Yeah, she did.
collections on Patreon, so congratulations to her. And just got to keep working at it, keep it out there. So, mixing it up here. Snow crash. So, I think we're about out of things to say. You guys got anything left?
I was just going to look up Nixie Pixel, but yeah.
All right, we'll stall Nixie Pixel. And here's a little bit of Snow Crash fan art. There's not a movie of Snow Crash yet, but you sure think there would be one. This is YT, who's a courier in the book Snow Crash. And if you look down here, you can see her skateboard has those power wheels where the spokes come out of the wheel and they adjust to the surface. So this is a skateboard that can go over anything, because transportation is very important in Snow Crash, which we're reading in the World Crypto Network Book Club. I hope you'll read it too. Chris, you got picks?
So she's making 8,600.
That is a lot of money.
So she didn't get any drop-offs because I think she was worried that people were going to drop off at the last minute. Apparently, people do that on Patreon, and looks like she's holding it up. So this is brilliant. I mean, she's on a proper salary.
Yeah, that's huge.
So you're going to get, actually people making content online that will be able to make a living.
That's awesome. It's like, what is it? There's a lot of those gamers who do, they'll play a game for so long and hope to raise donations for charities and crap. You see that a lot with whenever a new game comes out.
The problem is though that this isn't going to be scalable. So we might be in a bit of a bubble phase for a while where people are able to earn lots of money. But at the end of the day, you're making these videos. You're not digging anything out of the ground, right? Like you're not really making things.
You're digging video gold out of the ground.
But you can't eat a video if you're hungry.
We've got 200 here. So any donations are helpful here at MadBitcoins Patreon. Patreon.com/MadBitcoins. So make it look like Nixie Pixel's one. Let's project that onto there. Maybe like
yours looks pretty good. Yours looks
pretty good. It's like monthly minimums for credit cards. It's very cool, and got some cool Bitcoin donations lately. People are sending in strange amounts. They want me to read them on air. Had some cool numbers come in. You
should do like Mad Money Machine, where he actually reads out his public key, like letter by letter.
Oh my God, letter
uppercase Q, the number 6. Lowercase t, uppercase r. It's like hilarious.
Don't tell me he does
that guy.
That's so painful. Don't tell me he does that.
Someone does that?
Yeah.
I
bet you weren't expecting that lowercase q after that uppercase r. I know I wasn't. Not after we'd had so many Q's before it, but that's why they call it entropic. It's supposed to be surprising. You're not supposed to expect it.
When you're writing the key down, you do really want all that commentary? You kind of
yes.
Like I would just want to hear the 104 characters.
You know what?
That should be a show. That should be a show where someone reads an address and commentates the whole fucking thing through.
No,
and then
dude, it gets better. It gets better. We should write a book made of public keys. Like a big, War and Peace or something. We just thousands of these things. And we're like, wow. I mean, can you believe? And we're doing like commentary on air. This will be part of the bonus section. For an extra $1,000, you get to download the bonus DVD commentary where Chris goes through and explains why there were so many uppercase S's. We saw an unprecedented number of uppercase S's, particularly in the last 1,000 pages. Isn't that right, Tom? Yes, that's right, Chris. I wasn't expecting to see all those uppercase S's, particularly after we'd had all the lowercase e's in the first half.
Didn't even seem that random to me. Like, it was
but that's the whole point of randomness, Tom. You see, you just need to read Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. He'll tell you it's not supposed to be jumbled up. It's supposed to be unexpected. You're meant to be able to get 4 R's in a row, and that's still perfectly entropic.
So what you're saying is I should take my key here, which is, of course, 1 lay U, QQ6F11. Now, remember, these are all case sensitive, so I can't change them. So one long afternoon yesterday.
Yeah.
I need a second keyword there. 6 is not a very good, like, 6 doesn't really make any sense.
Quack. Queen Quack.
Queen Quack?
Yeah, she's like a crazy queen.
She's a duck.
Queen Quack. Yeah, she's a duck.
6 followers, 11 hounds, and then we've got some, like...
That's CC Big Boy or some shit.
They CC Big Boy, but that's actually, like... That's like a complicated one because that's part of the word there. So people are going to have to work out everything. Oh, yeah, everything. Everything that 6 boys. X is a hard one, like Xanadu, xylophone.
6 big Xanaxes?
X-rated, like X.
Boys, xenophobic. Yeah. They were xenophobic.
They're xenophobic boys.
Xenophobic boys.
Xenophobic boys with 8 DIYs. That's almost DIY. 8 dancing iguanas. Watched Kurosawa with
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, dude. Famous people in this. With Zuckerberg. Oh, I put Zuckerbuck. That was interesting. Zuckerberg United. Like it's a you know. YK, you know. That's
Yeah, it'd be interesting if anyone sent money to these public keys in this book that we're going to publish. We should go to Random House right now and get them to sign the deal before anyone copies it.
All right, so here we are.
Set up a GitHub repository and people can start contributing.
One long afternoon yesterday, you, Queen Quack Quack, 6 followers, 11 hounds, CC'd a big boy. Everything that 6 boys xenophobic, 8 dancing iguanas watched Kurosawa with Zuckerberg United. You know, public relations. So, if you'd like to donate, this is my official QR code on MadBitcoins.com. You can watch it right here on the button. That's the one lay. One long afternoon yesterday. So, right there. Ginsburg-esque. I like the public relation part at the end. That was strong.
That was strong.
You don't expect that from a private key, but, like, that's good writing. All right, I think we've crashed this show into the ground several times. We're gonna go.
That's fantastic.
Now, but we're gonna work on some more QR code poems for next time, and they could be even better if we wrote them in advance. And you can donate to this QR code poem. It is active on the blockchain at MadBitcoins.com. It really works. You don't have to type in the whole poem. But let's see. Any more questions? Oh, hey, we got some questions. How about that? Let's stick around for questions. This is good. Do you guys know what's going on with Maxcoin or anything new for feathercoin? Oh, Maxcoin. I've been in trouble with Maxcoin ever since Hitler discovered Maxcoin. But just a small note for anyone that does YouTube: never ever like quote one of those Hitler videos in your thing because the copyright N-words, other N-word that you're not thinking of, were on top of me, man. Those copyright NZ words were, whoa, they were not happy with that. So never quote the Maxcoin Hitler video, even though it's hilarious. What's going on with Maxcoin? I heard they were going to do a Maxcoin 2. I heard they were going to do a Stacy Kaiser coin. There's so many coins. There's just so many coins. Chris, your thoughts?
There are more coins than there are things to do with them at the moment. That's the problem. I still think that we will have multiple blockchains in the future, but like I say, over time my energy diverted away from Feathercoin and more into Bitcoin in general because I just felt that needed my support. However, the people working at Feathercoin are still, top-notch people. They've got some great developers there. In particular, Ghostlander, who spent a lot of time working for free, resurrecting Phoenix Coin. If you remember, that was owned by those con artists that ran off with people's money. Well, he actually volunteered, went in, He wasn't able to fork the code because I think they'd coded it offline, and so he wasn't able to see the changes. So I think he had to spend quite a long time going through their code, fixing it, and also doing a lot of background checks into the people as well. I think he managed to discover who they were. So they've worked really hard, and they've come up with NeoScript, which is a new version of the script hashing algorithm, which is going to be more friendly to CPUs and to GPUs. And it's basically a way to stop this, this kind of rampant rage towards ASICs. Now, we can see a world emerging where perhaps Bitcoin has its ASIC supply, but then what will happen is you'll get these other sort of long tail effect, a bit like social networks. There are thousands of social networks out there that still have millions of people on them, because sometimes big isn't better. Sometimes you want something that's a bit more niche and targeted rather than something that just tries to be everything to everyone. And I think what could happen is that you do get these coins going off with their own combinations of different hashing algorithms that work within a particular niche community or fulfill a particular need. So yeah, I think it's very good, and I think that of all the coins, of course I would say this, wouldn't I, but I think feathercoin has been the one that's been most responsible. Every time something would happen, I felt that they responded very, particularly Bush was very good at making decisions. So yeah, I really like it. So you can learn all about that at the forum at feathercoin. It's one of the top titles in the forum. NeoScript is open source now, so any coin can do it. And we've also got our open source ATM as well that Uncle Muddy Rob was working on. So that would mean that any merchant be able to print out their own point of sale with a 3D printer and a Raspberry Pi. So that would be like under £200, and you've got your own payment system.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Can that be used for any blockchain or any crypto? Yeah, it can be converted. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the whole point of it is it's open source.
Oh,
we've got another update from the YouTube questions here. Hannah Hart did a video about Bitcoin and got 336,000 views, and now,
that was
even though
awful.
I'm not sure there's much left in my change tip account, here's at least a dime to Hannah Hart.
That video is awful though. She doesn't get started for about 5 minutes.
I haven't seen the video, but I've seen her drunk kitchen videos, and they're hilarious. She seems very cool. Would love to work with her and help her accept Bitcoin tips. I hope she can put a QR code up. Be very cool. And she's got a change tip now, so check that out. Hannah Hart at MyHarto on YouTube. So let's see.
There's this article that just got posted on Cointelegraph about Visa being open to facilitating the growth of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy? No. My friend? No. I don't think so. But yeah, that's a nice idea. This guy says that Ethereum is a viable idea and it sounds pretty cool, but he also thinks that Ultracoin and other coins seem to be great options. So you can never tell. I like this part. He adds, for trading digital assets, which is kind of like the Hudsucker Proxy line, for kids. So go watch Hudsucker Proxy. Is Nick drunk or on Pados? I don't know what Pados is.
I am sober.
This is like this normal.
This is just how I am.
And then we've got a question from James N. about, what do you guys think about Let's Talk Bitcoin coin? Do you all participate on Let's Talk Bitcoin, or is this World Crypto Network's nemesis? And this is an interesting question.
No, they're totally different shows, though. One's a podcast and the other one's a YouTube live stream. So, no, we've had Adam on here, and Andreas comes on here, and we've had Stefan as well.
We're friends with Adam. We'd like to work with him. We think his coin's an interesting idea like the other coins. We're just not sure what exactly gives its value and why it's necessary, given that we have Bitcoin. I would like to be paid in small amounts of Bitcoin. So if you have a small amount of Bitcoin you want to send to me, I will try to hold it until it becomes more valuable, because I believe in Bitcoin. And if I have to sell it, I have to sell it because you need to pay bills. But no, it'd be cool. I'd like to work with him. Never been invited on. I was on a show once, kind of. He used my Zhao Tonged interview. Was on Let's Talk Bitcoin. So check that out. MadBitcoins, Zhao Tonged. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, I listen to their podcasts probably every day. I enjoy it. I like their product.
And they MadBitcoins is usually short. We don't usually go on for hours and hours like this, but World Crypto Network does. And Let's Talk Bitcoin is usually more of a longer form radio show. So it's just a different format. But we all are spreading the good word about crypto. We're all in favor of crypto. And it sounds like, I don't know, I mean, I discounted their project a little, and there's Tatiana Coin, which was cool, and I want to support that. But it sounds like Overstock's CEO, Patrick Byrne, is going in on Counterparty. So who knows? He could be right on this, making a cryptocurrency on Counterparty that's a token that doesn't necessarily have value like Bitcoin. Now we've got a follow-up question about Let's Talk Bitcoin, so I'm going to go to that. Do you think the fact that they only take Let's Talk Bitcoin coin for advertising makes it better than others? Makes Let's Talk, like comparing Let's Talk Bitcoin to like Litecoin or Dogecoin? I suppose. I mean, I don't know that you need an entire currency for the advertising budget of a radio show about cryptocurrency.
This movement is all about removing barriers, and when you start erecting barriers like that, it totally goes against the whole movement as a whole, I think.
It seems like it would be harder for people to pay in Let's Talk Bitcoin coin for advertising, so it would be harder to buy advertising, whereas it seemed like if you were only selling ads in Bitcoin, which I would like to do on MadBitcoins if you're interested, but if you're selling ads in Bitcoins, that's already a hoop they have to jump through. You're basically saying to prospective advertisers they have to jump through that hoop, then they have to jump through another hoop. I mean, it's an interesting idea. It might work. I don't know. I mean, I think it's an experiment, and it should be tried. It's interesting. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for them. I just don't know if we're where we need to be, like, for that to be like a profitable thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. We don't have a decentralized exchange. I don't know where you have to go buy LTB from them. It's not traded just openly, on like anywhere. So, but I think it's an awesome experiment, and I'm glad that they're doing it.
All right. Any more questions out there? We're about out of time, but we'd like to shout out to My Drunk Kitchen, Jenna Marbles, Chris. What's her name? I forgot. She's making $8,000. Lexi. Nixie Pixel, all those other YouTubers, Philly DeFranco. You guys need to take Bitcoin.
I'd like to give a big shout out to my man Joseph Saunders at Visa, top guy. This is definitely the kind of guy you want to give your money to. He represents the people. He's just an ordinary guy. Look at that watch. That is just an ordinary watch. Everyone wears
ordinary people
like
carry watches.
Ordinary people wear watches like that. So these are good people. They're after your interests. They care about you. They want to see you succeed in life. So please, please give your money over to this man, okay? And just help him buy another swimming pool.
Yeah, keep using Visa. Keep using
only one, Chris. I want to help him buy 2 swimming pools.
But everyone, I don't know how you can live with fewer than 2.
Gotta have one in case the other one gets dirty, right?
Yeah, I mean, pools get dirty, don't they?
Well, you need people to clean them, like crews of people.
Oh.
Yeah, he needs more servants.
Just throw them away. Just throw them away and get new ones. Just
disposable pools. Buy one now. Like yeah. All right, so we're out of time, and until next time, this has been MadBitcoins' epically long Dogecoin merged mining Silk Road investigation episode.
Oh, don't forget the address poem.
Don't forget the address poem. We've got one more quote or a question. Is it not a danger for Bitcoin's future that a lot of countries want to block the coin?
No.
No, that helps. It's not the people that want to block it, it's the governments.
Lots of countries want to block guns. Guns are way crazier now than they have been since before they started trying to block them. Way crazier, way more advanced, way more spread throughout the people.
Let's see, I'm trying to find the address poem. I have too many windows open.
One does not simply uninvent Bitcoin.
Be pretty good. So here we go. We're going to pull up the address, and then I'm going to instantly find the address poem, because Nick's right. We have a great address poem, and we have a great address. We should put those two things together and try to find the address poem. Untitled document, that sounds right. Here we are with 1 Long afternoon yesterday. You, Queen Quack Quack, 6 followers, 11 hounds, CC'd a big boy. Everything that 6 boys, xenophobic, 8 dancing iguanas, watched Kurosawa with Zuckerberg united. You know, public relations. 3. We're out of time. Until next time. Bye-bye.